Now here comes the various types of calculation that can happen. Basically, the example that I showed you is an example of something called as a simple expression or basic expression. Then there are something called as LOD expressions and table calculations. If I go to basic expressions, if you go basic expressions, basic expressions allow you to transform values or members of the data source level of detail or the visualization level of detail. Okay, so and LOD expressions are basically a little more complicated and complex expressions than normal expressions. Okay, and sorry, and table calculations allow you to transform values at the level of detail of the visualization only. This LOD expression and table expressions, table calculations, we'll see later. First, let's try to understand simple function. What are the different kinds of functions there, and how we can work with these functions? Okay, so first thing is string functions in Tableau. Okay, I'll try to show you the demonstration of all these in Tableau. Okay. So I don't know if you will be able to understand this. Okay. So I have used something called as an ASCII function. Okay. I'll just give you a brief background of what is the meaning of ASCII, because this graphical representation is not making any sense. But I just wanted to show you how the function and expression is actually working. So ASCII stands for American Standard Code for Information Interchange. Okay. This is the meaning of ASCII, American Standard Code for Information Interchange. Now, the use of this is that computer systems don't understand English language or any other language for that matter. They only understand numbers. Now, every character that is there in your keyboard is specifically assigned a unique number by a convention called as ASCII. Okay. Now, every character that is possible. So all the alphabets, all the numbers, all the special characters, all the function keys, okay, they have a special number associated with it. Now, if it comes to the English language alphabets, the numbers are associated something like this, that capital A, the numbering starts from 65. Okay. And small a, the numbering starts from, I think, 97, but I don't remember. Okay. So now, when I write the ASCII function, if I go take you back to the slide, okay. If I take you back to the slide, basically the use of the ASCII function is returns the ASCII code for the first character of the string. Okay. And the first, if my character string, first character of the string is capital A, the value it will return is 65. Okay. Now, if you go here, basically, if you see, since these customer names, I have created something called as a calculated field, which is called sample string function. If I edit here, I'm just taking the ASCII character of the first ASCII value of the first name or the first character in the customer name. Okay. So now what happens is, if my first name is Aaron Bergman, the first character here is capital A. So if you go to this particular point, what is the value it is showing here? 65. Okay. Now, if you will see, there are a lot of values which are 65. Why? Because these numbers have been, these names have been sorted alphabetically. So if you go down here, you can see that once B starts, the value has changed to 66. Similarly, as long as you go, okay, if my, see the last name in this is Z. If you go to Z, the value is 90. Okay, it's 89, 88, 87, okay, 86. So for each of the alphabets, each of the alphabet is basically given an ASCII code. Both are different in case of uppercase and lowercase. That means capital letters and small letters have different ASCII codes. So this function is basically returning that ASCII character value for the first character in the string. Did you understand the use of this ASCII function? Okay. So now let's go to the next function. I'll not explain each of, there are a lot of functions. Let me see. So on the basis of the demonstration of this function, there is something called as a char function, okay, which does the opposite work of an ASCII function. So if you give a string in ASCII, it will return the ASCII value of the first character. If you give a number to char function, it will return the alphabet or the character which is associated with that particular ASCII number. So basically, in the ASCII function and char function work in opposite way. In one case, you give a string and you get a number which is the ASCII value. In the second case, which is the char function, you get the character out of the ASCII value. So that is the difference between char and ASCII function. Next is contains function. Now contains function basically check if your substring is part of the string or not. So let's say if I am taking something like, HARSH, which is my original string, okay, and I have a substring, let's say AR. I want to check whether AR as a substring is part of the complete string Harsh or not. So here I will use something that as the contains function, and I'll pass the value. Okay, and I will check whether my string contains the substring part or not. Okay, substring is basically a part of the string, so it will give me a true or false. True if my substring is there as a part of the string. If my substring is not there as a part of the string, then it will return a false value. Okay, so that is the meaning of contain, that is the use and meaning of contains function. Now moving on to the next one, there is something called as a left function, which basically returns the leftmost number of characters in the string. So basically, let's say that from your data, you want to extract from the left side, you want to extract 4 characters out of your string. Then you will use something called as left function. Now, if you remember the architecture module of Tableau, I clearly said that in the background of Tableau, what is exactly working? SQL queries are working. Okay, that is how SQL queries get you the result, and VisQL, visualization query language, is what gives you the generation of the graphs and the plots and everything. Okay, so if you I don't know, since you guys, since Krishnan doesn't have experience with SQL, I'll just say you this: all these functions are basically SQL functions. Okay, and that is why, if some, see, the use case of these functions may vary. Okay, if you're working with a completely text based data, okay, if you're not working with a data which is number based, if you're working with data which is just text based, then there will be a situation where we will be using these. Okay, you just are having certain information, you're not predicting the price or sales or something like that. you are using this entire, sometimes let's say you have a data on basis of customer name, okay, then you have their sex, then you have their occupation and all those things. In that kind of scenarios, you will have to work with string functions, and you will have to use these string functions to convert or create fields which you can use for analysis and visualization. So those are the situations where you need to know string functions. Okay. Now, and all these functions are basically SQL functions itself. Okay. And then there is, I told you about the left function. So if you want to extract any specific information from the left side of the string, then you can use the left function. So let me see if I can give you a demo on this, on the same function itself that we created in Tableau. So automatic, can it be a table? Okay. And yeah, so as you can see, I've created just a simple table, and I'll just change the order. Yes. Now, if you can see here, Aaron Bergman, and I'm getting the last four values. Aaron Hawkins, last four values. Okay. But if you can see, it is not taking in the second name. It's only giving me from the, it's giving me the first four characters from the first name. Okay. Now, if I just again edit this function, edit this field, and I show you, instead of left, I'm showing you the right function. Okay. And then I say apply, and then I say okay. So now from the last, that is at the end value, we are getting the names of the, let's say from Aaron Bergman, it's taking GMAN as the last rightmost four characters. Okay. So that is the use of right and left function. Now, let's say I again edit it and I write ends with, okay, right, AMP. Okay. I'm just checking, ends with is a function which checks whether a string ends with a specific substring or not. Okay, that can be a single character, that can be a substring. Okay, more than one character. So here I'm checking which customer names are ending with the substring called as AMP. It will return true if the customer name ends with AMP. Otherwise, it will return false. Okay, now let's see. So here you can see mostly it is written false, and I don't think there will be any case where it will be true, because I don't think that those names are here. But you can see here all the values are false. So that is the meaning of ends with function. So there are functions which will return you numbers. There are functions which will return you specific characters. That is ASCII and char. Then there is a function which you can extract from the left side or the right side of the string. There is a function which will check whether your string ends with a specific value or not. So these are the string related functions in Tableau, which you can use to create calculated field with complex expressions. Till now, is it clear? Going next. Then there are other functions also. One is called the len function. So len function and the lower function, and there will be something called as upper function. So if I just go to the len function, okay. So if I go here and I just show you the len function, so I will again edit this same one, and I'll, instead of ends with an anything, I'll just write length function. Okay, and this gives me the length of the string. So if you go here, you'll just see, okay, length. So length of each string is written here. Each string means space is also included, because space is also a unique character according to the ASCII convention. Okay. Now there was another function called as lower and upper. Okay. So the use of lower cases, it will convert your entire string into lower case. So if I say here lower, apply. Okay. So it's converting everything into lowercase. If you can see here, the names have been completely converted. Okay. Now, the next thing is, I can use this same string function and convert everything into uppercase. So instead of lower, I'll simply write apply, and the entire thing has been converted into uppercase. Okay. So that is the meaning of this. Now, if I go back to the slides, okay, then there is something called as the date function. Okay. Now the date function basically manipulates with the date values in your data set and gives you specific result in the context of the date. Okay. So what is the date function? Dates are a common element in many data sources. If a field contains recognizable dates, it will have a date or date time data type. When date fields are used in the visualization, they get a special set of functionality, including an automatic date hierarchy drill down. So we all know that. So what is the meaning of this date hierarchy drill down? I hope you guys remember this. But whenever you are working with the date column, okay, you know what? Do you remember what is a hierarchy? So the thing is, you see all these things conceptually. You will remember when I show you. But to keep continuously know this is very important. Okay, to if I not me, but if you are taking this as a professional alternative for your career, then you should have enough practice that you know this. See, whenever I go to date, okay, I said, right, hierarchy means what? You are basically creating a list of subfolders. So when you create something like this, a plus, then years, from the years I'll get quarters, from the quarters I can get months, and from the months I can get a day. Okay, so that is the meaning of, first thing you need to understand, that this is the meaning of hierarchy. So basically you have multiple things inside one column. Here also you will see country, state, and city. And even when we were doing map visualization, country, state, and city,
Yes, yes.
how does it work? When you drag country, state, and city, only once it is, only country will be shown. Then the after country, if you click on the plus symbol, then the states will be highlighted. If you click on the plus symbol, again from the states, the cities will be highlighted. So that is the meaning of the hierarchy. Okay. Now, so this is the date. So every time you have a date column, okay, that date column will be highlighted, and it will have a hierarchy drill down. What is the meaning of hierarchy drill down? That means once you click here, you will get a new set of options. So quarter. Once you click on quarter, you get months. Once you click on months, you will get day. This will be there for all the date columns that is there that are there in the data set. Why? Because what is the format of the date? Either it will be a day, month, or year, a date, month, or year. Okay, or any international format, let's say month, date, and year. Whatever is the format, you will always whenever you are filling in the values in the data set, you will always write date and the month and the year value. So that is why you will get this information. And how is the quarter part getting? How do we get quarter? Tableau calculates that quarter for us. Okay, and fits in the values, fits in the month which are there in that particular quarter, quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, and quarter four. Okay, so that is the uniqueness of the date data type in the in Tableau. And so there are different Tableau date functions related to Tableau functions related to date. Okay, now there is something called as a date column. Okay, so if you use this date column, you will, your output will actually be a date. Okay, So it returns a date given a number, string, or date expression. So if you give any date, okay, or let's say I write October 3, 2023, then it will give me a date formatted value from that. Okay. Now there is something called as date add. And what is the use of date add? It returns the specified date with the specified number of interval added to the specified date part of, for example, adding 3 months or 12 days to a starting date. So let's say you are here in on 6th October. And then from here, if you, let's say I want to add 10 days and 12 days and get the value, then you can use something called as date add function. Okay. Then there is something called as a date difference function. So date difference function basically returns the difference of number of days between two dates. Okay. So let me see if I can show you the usage of this. Okay. Date part. Okay. So first I'll show you date, date name and date add, date diff and date. So see here. Can you see the Tableau screen? So what I've done is I've created a new field and I have that the name of the field is sample date function. Inside the function, I've written a string October 6, 2023. From this, what it has done is I remove this completely and you take this sample date function into the rows. See here, year of sample date 2023. Then we'll get the quarter also, then the month, and then the day. So from a single string that you give to the date function, you will be able to get the date, year, quarter, month. Okay. So that is the usage of the date function. Is the date function clear? This is the next one. Date add, right? So let's say if I search date add, so let's just simply do this one only. The example that has been given here. Date add, we are adding see. If you can see, the date I gave was 15 April 2004. What is the date highlighted here? 3 months increment here. Okay. Now, the next one was date difference, right? Date diff. Okay. If I say, let's say date diff to be in terms of months. Okay. Now let's see. So these things will not work now. So if I just add it in the detail, we'll just get a value, and sample date function value is, what is the result? -3. See, the thing is, if you see the syntax, basically the syntax is start date and end date. So it will do end date minus start date. Okay. But my start date is 7th, means, and my end date is April. So if it is doing end date minus start, something like this. If you do 4 minus 3, it will be 1. If you do 3 minus 4, it will be -1. So the difference is of 3 months itself, but it is doing since in the opposite direction. That's why it is telling me -3. So let us now do the next one, which is the date part. Okay. Returns the part of the given date as an integer where the part is defined by the date part. If start of the week is omitted, the week start days. So let's say month. So if you want to highlight what is which part of the day, let's say if you want to highlight the month, then you can highlight the month from a particular date. That is the usage of the date part function. Okay. If you want to highlight the year, you can highlight it from the given calendar date. You can highlight the year, month, or day from a given date using the date part function. Okay, that is the meaning of that. And then there is another one called as date name function. Now date name function returns the part of the given date as a string where the part is defined by the date part. So if you want to know the name specifically of the month, then you can use something like, so let's see if this works. Date name, and I will simply do this. Okay, and now if you go here, you're getting July, because 7 is July. Okay, it's giving me 4. It is giving me 15. I write date, so it will not take. Okay, so that is the usage of the date names. You get specific name. Now this is more useful for the getting the month of the uh, date. Okay, now let's say I can use this for something else, month, and here I'm getting this. Okay, the list of months of the order date which is given here. Okay, so that is the usage of date name, date part, and all the dates. See, there are a lot of date functions, but these are the major ones. Okay, if you want, you can explore more on this later. Now, next we have the aggregate functions. Okay, now the usage of the aggregate function is, okay, one second. Okay, so till now the date function and the string functions are clear.
Yes, good.
Okay, fine. So now let me see. Okay, we have aggregate functions and we have logical functions. And then number functions. Okay, let's do the aggregate functions. Okay, so the meaning of aggregate functions is applying some sort of aggregation calculation. Now what is the meaning of aggregation? Where you are just aggregating or adding the numbers. So in average you will add all the numbers and divide it by the total number of observations. In sum is also an aggregate function. Then there is something called as count. All these are basically aggregate functions: sum, count, average, distinct count also I told you, then mean, standard deviation, and all that. So all these are aggregate functions where you are basically adding all the values in the column and then giving some result. Okay, so these functions you do not need to write down explicitly somewhere. If you just go here, see, you have sum of sales. You go here in the measure, average is also aggregate function. Then do you know what is the meaning of median? Very simple example. Let's say you have marks of, let's say you have marks of 10 students, and you want to highlight what is the actual middle value of the entire marks range. Okay, so let's say if you have the marks ranging something 1, 2, 3, 4, or let's say something like this: 20, 20, 9, 18, 25, 17, 22, 23, 13, 15. Okay. Now you want to highlight what is the middle value which partitions my data. Okay. The 50% value. So what happens is I want that is called as the median value. The value in your data which is lying at the middle. Okay. How do you find that? You basically sort your data in ascending order. So if I sort this data in ascending order, it will go something like this: 13, 15, 17, 18. Okay. Then 20, 22, 20, 22, 23, and 25. Now, how many numbers are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 numbers. So my middle value will be, if I take, so there is a simple rule for this trick. If I cancel 13 and 25, then 15 and 23, then 17 and 22. So I have two numbers remaining. If I have two numbers remaining, I will take the average of these two. To 20 plus 18, 38, 38 by 2, 19. So what is my median value? 19. Okay. So 50% of my data lie below 19 and 50% of my data lies above 19. And you can verify that also. So if I have 8 values, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 13, 15, and 17 and 18 lie below 19. Okay. And the remaining 20, 22, 23, 25 lie above 19. So that is the meaning and significance of median. Okay. Now, this is how you calculate median for a simple data. So that you can calculate, that is also an aggregate function only. And here you can see that you can just simply select here in the measure, you can select median also. Okay. Then you know what is the meaning of count and distinct count. We have discussed in the last class. Then the minimum, maximum, you know, and then there is something called as percentile. Okay. So uh, percentile is something very similar to median. Okay. So if you divide your data into 3 parts, okay, then the first one is called first quartile, second one is called second. I'll show you something. Okay. Now, if I have 100 values, okay, from 0 to 100, okay, if I split my data at the 25th percent position, at the 50th percentage position, and at the 75 percentage position, okay, 25, 50, and 75. Now, each of in how many parts have I split my data? 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is called first quartile. Okay. This value is called first quartile. This value is called Q3 or third quartile. Okay. And this value, this 50% value is called Q2. And we all have just got a new name for this also. It is also called, median is itself called second quartile. Okay. So what is median? Median is second quartile. Okay. So that is the meaning of median. Now, similar to this concept, if you split your data into 100 parts, if you split your data into 100 parts, then each part is called a percentile. Okay. So I just wanted to explain with a concept. If you explain like this is my first part, okay, then this is my second part, then this is my third part, okay, and similarly this is my 98th part, then this is my 99 part, and this is my 100 part. Okay. And now so that is the meaning of percentile. So if I say 99th percentile, that means if your data is divided into 100 parts, then you are at the 99th element of that 100 parts of your data. If you have know about competitive exams such as MBA and now even let's say JE means, okay, JE means and MBA also, they give the result in percentile. What do you mean by a percentile? If your score, if you get 99 percentile, that means how, if you consider all the students into 100 different parts, then you are at the 99th position. So you have beaten 99% of 99 of the total other. If you have 100 students who have given the examination, and if you have scored 99 percentile, that means there is only remaining 1%, one student above you, remaining 99 are below you. So that is the meaning of 99 percentile. If you have 100 students appearing for the exam, okay, so that is the concept of percentile, and it's a very strong and important concept in statistics and visualization. Okay, so that is the meaning of percentile, and you can get percentile values also just by changing the measure column. Okay, so clear till here?